never smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some disease. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys. Miss Liz in the house, that's right. And today I have an incredible guest in the house. I have Amy Chinian in the house. I'm hoping I'm saying her last name right. But today we're going to talk about lice. That's right. So all of the teachers out there, parents, grandparents, all of you people out there, turn your screens on and listen to this conversation, because Amy has an incredible story to tell you about how her product came to life and her story of how she got it into 5 salons. And we're going to talk about all of that incredible stuff, but we're going to talk about her tea as well. And her tea today is talent, expertise, and alignment. That's the tea we're serving in this house. But before we get started, you guys all know how Miss Liz works. You go over to YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those platforms. You give a little like, subscribe, follow, and you get Miss Liz and these tea times out there, because each of these tea times do make a difference when you share them with your community, your loved ones, and who knows, maybe even a total stranger you might just meet on the street and you can share this tea time with them. So before we get started, let's get the disclaimer out there. Let's get an intro and let's get Amy in here and let's spill some tea together. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by the guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my linktree, Miss Liz's Tea Times. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely volunteer. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Today at the Tea Time table, Miss Liz pours a story brewed with faith, family, and fierce determination. We welcome Amy Chinian, the founder and visionary behind My Hair Helpers, Southern California leading head care company, changing how families experience one of life's most stressful little battles. What began with a red picnic basket and a mother's prayer has grown into a thriving brand with multiple salon locations, a nationwide product line, and a heart that keeps giving through her Lice Free Forever Charity. Amy's journey reminds us that purpose is born in the moment we least expect, that faith, compassion, and a willingness to serve can transform something unforgettable into a global act of love. She's a woman who didn't just build a business, she built a legacy of care, one family, one story, and one act of kindness at a time. Let's welcome Amy in and spill some tea, real life tea together.
Well, thank you, Les. I'm so excited to be here. My story is very
Well,
unique. I don't think you'll ever hear a story like this because there aren't any.
absolutely right. You're my first lady for hair, and I actually have a second lady coming on later on in the month of for another hair product. So hair is on the go.
Well,
So for all my listeners out there, Miss Liz is doing some hair
it's
to you.
actually bugs. Hair is just the vehicle.
Amy's got the bugs, and my next guest has got the
Yeah,
hair.
yeah. I wish it was just hair, but it's not that glamorous.
So, Amy, I want to start off how I start off all my tea times. Who was Amy as a little girl, and who is Amy now?
Oh gosh, I love that. I don't think I've been asked that. Amy is a very independent, confident, adventurous person, little girl. Born in Yakima, Yakima, Washington. Moved to California when I was 5 to Walnut Creek, and then moved to Santa Barbara, and then went to college at UCLA. Ended up in Los Angeles. So I have been all up and down the coast in California, all the best places.
So, Amy, let's start talking about that little red basket.
Well, when it was 2008, I had, first of all, I had 5 kids in 8 years. That was a lot. I didn't expect that, but they just boom, 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 boom. I've been married almost 35 years. So I was a housewife. Um, I had done things in my life like sold real estate. I had a college degree. I always had, I was always good with people and I loved children. So I had that going for me and felt comfortable with people. But I think my greatest gift is helping people. I loved helping people. That was my happy spot. If I could help somebody and make their life better, that would make my day. So that being said, I was pregnant with my 5th child in my belly, and all of a sudden my head started itching, and it was not a normal itch. It was like this fierce itch. And unless you felt that, I can't even explain it. But I didn't grow up with head lice, so it didn't even occur to me that it could be head lice. And then I had my girlfriend look at my hair, and she said, lo and behold, you've got head lice. And I was so perplexed. I thought, well, what's that? And when she told me it's a bug living in your hair, I just wanted to lose it because, first of all, I hate bugs, except bumblebees are kind of cute. But to think of a bug living in your hair, nesting in your hair, it's like I have not heard of this. And this is rather third world. Okay. I was not okay with it. And I was ready to have a baby, looked at my kids' hair, and they all had bugs in their hair. And it's just such a shocking thing that unless you grew up with it, maybe it's something that you're kind of accustomed to. But I had no background. And so what I did was I said, I cannot go to the hospital and have a baby with bugs in my hair. That's not okay. So I went to the yellow pages and I looked up, head lice professionals. There was one at the time, only one. And she had just opened up a business. She didn't have a salon, but she did come to my house. She came to my house and I wanted to kiss her and hug her. I was so happy because she knew more than me. She knew something about this bug. And so I hired her to delouse my whole family. It was a pretty penny. It was $1,500 twice. But at that point, it's like you need to get it out, so you don't care. And so she did a really good job. She left. And I didn't think about lice for 12 years. Okay. 12 years went by. And my husband had a very thriving career. He was also an entrepreneur. And he built this part for cars to lock the engine for hood locks. And his name of his company was United States Auto Security. So he would go all over the country and sell car dealers these locks. And I was a stay-at-home mom, living my life, Playa del Rey, had a good life, not extravagant, but at least, comfortable. And lo and behold, the recession came of 2008. All the car dealers were going out of business. They couldn't get cars. And so it was almost like overnight, it felt like. It was a month, but we had to close the doors of our business. We lost the building. It was a beautiful building in Venice, California, in Lincoln, which is a very great area. We had to move from our house. His whole entire company was gone. And he looks at me and he says, we're broke. Not only are we broke, we owe $1 million. And I'm like, what? How can we owe $1 million? Well, we had taken out loans, and lo and behold, we owed $1 million. So I said, okay, this is bad. And when you lose all your money, okay, you've lost your money, but you still have your health. We still had a good marriage. The kids were healthy. It's like you can pick up pieces, but honestly, I'd never been through anything like that. So I really didn't know where to turn. But I had a little idea, and I believe God gave me this. One day we were at the school, and this is a couple months before. There was a lady there, a different lice company. There were like a couple lice companies that were new. And she was checking the kids' hair at my school. And the principal looks at me and says, this is so expensive. It was like $600. And I heard a voice of the Holy Spirit say to me, you can do this. And it was just a moment between God and I. And I said, yes, I can. And so the disaster financially happened after I had this little thought. And so what happened is I got this red picnic basket for $1 at a garage sale. And I didn't even know what I was doing. I said, I'm going to start a lice company. I didn't know anything about lice, okay, except my experience. So what I did was I bought a book online called Lice Advice and read it cover to cover. And I really, honestly, that's all the training I had. And this mysterious bug, nobody knew really how it operated. They're telling you to clean your sheets in your house. Well, that's not where lice live. They live on your hair. They have to have a blood supply. And so I'm realizing there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of products out there that don't work. So my husband, lo and behold, he starts ordering me products, and I'm putting them in the red picnic basket. And I'm just going with friends and family. Okay. And I remember there was this one customer I met at the school, and he was the head of the largest hospital. He was a surgeon, a brain surgeon, and his kid had lice. And I remember I went to their house. I got everything out. I combed it all out. She opened up her checkbook. She says, I don't care how much it costs. Just get it out. And I thought,
they are so pesty. Yes, just get them out.
I thought, oh my gosh, I think I'm onto something here. I think I hit the jackpot. And so I was bringing checks home to my husband, and we didn't really have much of a conversation about even what I was doing, because he was, first of all, he was very depressed. He had been the CEO of a large company he created. We had lost everything. And so here I am, coming home, bringing checks, feeding my family. And I realized that you can become an expert at one thing and people will seek you out. And that's what I tell people, become an expert. I don't care if it's, walking dogs or power scrubbing a building. Just start with one thing and get super good at it. And if you're super good at something, people will seek you out, and then you can expand on that. So with this $1 million in debt, we had no money for advertising, no money for a logo, nothing. So it was interesting though, because I had different friends that were good at certain things, and they would step in and say, well, you know what? I can make you a logo. And then I had another friend, I can build you like a page website. So it was little by little, no loans, no partners, that I started with this red picnic basket. Okay. So we had lost our home in California. We were living in Playa del Rey. And I had applied for my son to go to a college prep school up near Calabasas. Calabasas is a very affluent community. And the joke was on me. I ended up in Calabasas with not two nickels to rub together. And he's at a college prep school. And I said, wow, this is incredible. This is, I could have been embarrassed, but I was so desperate. People knew my story at the school, and they were so inspired by me because they didn't have that kind of life. But I had that kind of life. And so I stepped in. I was helping the school with all different kinds of things. And I expanded my business to a whole new territory, from the west side of LA to all of a sudden I'm in Calabasas. And I hired a lady in the west side. So she was doing the treatments down there. And I was doing the treatments in the whole Conejo Valley in California. So that was my beginning. It seemed like every time I needed something, God would provide either the person, or a little bit of money would come in so I could afford something. It was little by little. That's all I got to say. And it was very hard work. I would go from home to home with my red picnic basket, combing people out. And I really knew very little. I had no formal training. So I was learning along the way. But what I discovered is, if you have a great attitude and you're extremely nice to people, that they're forgiving. I was leaving bugs in the hair. I was doing, not sure what I was doing, but I knew more than them. Okay. And I was very loving towards their families. And so that, you fake it till you make it, right?
So, Amy, what was the first product that went into your little red basket?
So I went online and I found lice combs, and I found products. I wanted to go all natural. I didn't want chemicals, because those chemicals over the counter do not work. They haven't worked for a long time. The lice are immune to them, and the comb is very far apart. The teeth of the comb, you have to have them close together. So I would put the lice products in the red picnic basket, and then I would try different things on different customers. And what I found that worked the best was oil. The oil suffocates the bugs, and then I use enzymes that loosens the glue of the eggs, and then you have to comb everything out section by section. So my system got better. I got better and better at it. So I was happy for that.
So, Amy, does the oil combine them together? Like the bugs are attracted to the oil?
No. What happens is, when you put the oil straight on the scalp, you part the hair and put it on, it suffocates them. Okay. It clogs up their ventricles so they can't breathe. And then when you're combing, they can't move. And then you comb them out and you wipe them on a napkin, or you put them in water. And it's a tedious process. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very, very tedious. And some people come to me and they've had lice a very long time. The process can take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. The only time it would go longer is if someone has super thick hair, or they've had lice over 6 months.
And before we went live, we were talking about this because I was asking you if certain products cause head lice and that as well. For my listeners out there, they'd like to know if there's certain shampoos or anything that help or prevent bugs from coming.
Okay, so I have a line of products, and they're infused with peppermint. So they're very good to use because lice hate the smell of peppermint. I have a shampoo, conditioner, and then I have a mint spray. Then you have to wear their hair back, braided, bunned, so the hair's not dangling down. This is a swinging bridge for lice to crawl across. 99% of lice is passed only head to head. You don't get lice from your environment. You get it head to head contact. So when the children are out on the play yard and they're playing, sometimes they walk around with their arms around each other. That's how they get lice. Okay. And so your child has to have their hair back braided, bunned. You can even put a little gel on there and slick it back with cement spray over it. And then if your child is prone to head lice, there are children that are prone to head lice. And I know that because I went to the same school 5 years in a row, and it was always the same 3 kids that had lice. So I know that it's a scent they leave behind. They know where they've been. So if your child has lice once, they're more prone to get it again. Do once a week, take a peek is what I tell parents. I have a lice comb on my website, on my Amazon store, and on my website. It's a lice eliminator comb. And if you have a child that keeps getting lice, you've got to get a routine of preventative combing. And what that means is, with the shampoo and conditioner, and then comb them out, making sure they haven't picked up a new bug. You've got to kind of stay ahead of it.
So, Amy, we have some questions that have come in, and I want to get those out to you. One question is, how do you keep dignity, privacy, and compassion at the center when families call you in a crisis?
So those are all different questions. Privacy is I don't share names of customers. I have private rooms if they need that. We try our best to, make it so it's not a big deal. I'm writing a book called Everybody Gets Lice.
That's a good book.
Yeah, like the one Everybody Poops, but Everybody Gets Lice. It's almost ready. I need people to understand they're not dirty. It's not a hygiene issue. It's just being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Your child was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and somebody passed lice to their hair. So it has nothing to do with a hairbrush or hygiene or a hat or, trying on a costume. They can't live in those things. And I don't think people know that. It's pretty easy, actually, to get lice.
So, Amy, I just want to get it out there for all of my listeners out there. Amy is in the U.S. So, Amy, do you supply Canadians with any of your products or outside of the U.S.?
Not yet. I'm sorry, but there are.
But she's in 5 salons. That's amazing. Like, that's a start, right?
Right. So there are companies in Canada. I don't know the names of them, but I did meet them. I went to a lice conference. I've gone to 2 lice conferences where all the top companies come and we share information. And there were a couple Canadian companies. So, good old Google, just look them up. And I'm sure that you'll find something until I go worldwide. Not there yet.
So, Amy, you mentioned that when you were pregnant, you had head lice, and you had somebody come in and take care of the bugs. Mm-hmm. What did you learn from that experience for yourself that you could share with others, especially pregnant women? Because when you're pregnant, you're going through a lot of changes already, and then carrying head lice, right?
Well, I think the main thing I learned is that over-the-counter products do not work. Okay, they just don't work. The lice are immune to them. So no matter, if I tried that on my kid's hair and then I cleaned the whole house, which you think you have to do, we still had lice. So what I learned is that combing with the right product is the answer.
So how many times did you try different oils and different smells and scents until you realized that the peppermint was the one that got the bug?
I tried some enzymes without the oil, and I noticed that the bugs were slipping through, that they were getting away. So I changed my process so that if somebody needs a treatment and they have bugs, I have to saturate their scalp with oil, and that suffocates the bugs. And then the eggs, I take them off with the enzymes.
Right, interesting. I'm really interested with the oil on how it suffocates the bug. And you're saying that we're getting misinformation about washing all our houses, all the teddy bears, all of that. Uh,
Hmm.
what, when did you learn that it was from the blood flow that the bug was surviving?
Yeah. So when I first started my company, I did a lot of research, and the CDC website was saying bag everything for 2 weeks, 10 days. I'm like, what? And then this website says, no, they're parasitic. They can't live off your hair. So I did my own studies. So I took some bugs from treatments and I put them in a plastic bag. And I saw that they only lasted 24 hours, but they slow way down after a few hours. And then I found out that the eggs cannot hatch off your head. They need the warmth of the scalp. So that's kind of a relief. I mean, it's really nothing like fleas or like bed bugs where you have to scour everything, vacuum everything. It's nothing like that. But what you do have to do, you have to check every family member. You have to check everybody. That's how you get lice back, through people contact, through your family, not through, like I said, bedding or sheets. They can't live there. They have to have blood. I
Uh,
think that's good news.
yeah, no, that is good news because I was just like, oh, we got to put everything in the dryer, we got to bag everything up. And then especially when their little ones are catching it, right? They feel bad. They feel like, oh, I shouldn't have played with that friend, or I shouldn't have played in a sandbox. And let's talk about sandboxes, because sandboxes is another one that they say you can get lice from. Is that true?
So you cannot get lice any other way than head-to-head contact. A sandbox doesn't have any blood. Okay.
There we
So
go.
you cannot get lice that way. Okay. Or a swimming pool or an airplane seat. I wrote an article for Reader's Digest called 11 Ways You Think You Get Lice But Won't. And that was, play areas or bedding or hats. It's very hard. It's all head to head contact. And when I went to the lice conferences, I met with some of the smartest people in the business, and they all said the science isn't there for lice to be passed through the environment. So I'm happy for that. It's just easier than you think, but you got to have the right products. You got to check the whole family, and you got to get every egg out.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit about your charity that you have. You have the charity called Life Free Forever Charity. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Okay, so the name of my charity is Lice Free Forever Charity. I started this nonprofit about 10 years ago. And the reason I started it is because a couple things made me really sad. What made me sad is there were kids missing school because of head lice, and there were kids that were having a really rough time with being bullied because they had lice and couldn't get it out. And their parents would say, don't play with that kid. They have head lice. So they would sit by themselves at lunch. And I don't, I can help that problem. I can help because if they come to one of my locations, they have to call me. I like to have referrals from school nurses. That way I know it's not just a lazy parent. But yesterday, I had a family and they were in tears. And I said, just come in and I'll help you. That's my pleasure. And the fact that I have 6 locations, it's probably easier for me than maybe other companies, or maybe other companies don't care, but I actually really care. And I don't want a child's life to be defined by head lice. That's not okay, because that's something I can solve. Some things I can't solve, but that little thing I can solve for them. So it's actually my pleasure.
So, with the charity, do you raise funds for families that can't pay for head treatment?
So I was very blessed many years ago. I have a customer and a philanthropist. Her name is Margie Keys. And she and I just fell in love with each other years ago. I went to her house for her daughter, and she has been my only supporter because she sees the vision, and I really don't like fundraising. And so I have just one supporter, and she takes care of anything I need. And so I'm very blessed with that.
I want to get into your faith, because your faith is, like you said, it was a message from God, right?
Yep, yep.
Let's talk about faith and how he turns us into these entrepreneurs and gives us this little vision that we might not even notice until we get it ourselves, right? Or until it's a vision that we see, or we're in an environment and we're just like, well, why isn't anybody doing this right now? And like you said, there was only one specialist when you looked. So let's talk about the faith. How did the faith change your journey in this story?
Okay, that's a good one. I am a Christian. I do believe Jesus is Lord, and I have always put my faith in him. So when you are trusting in Jesus, he doesn't say he's going to make things easy, but he says, I'll be with you. He says, I'll be with you till the end. And so we know there's a lot of stories in the Bible that talk about people going through difficult times, and that it builds our faith, it builds our perseverance, it shows us our purpose. And I actually did not think that my husband was going to lose his entire business. I really didn't think it was going to go like that. But when it did, I said to myself, oh, I need to come up with something here. This is not going the way I planned. Okay. We can plan things, but it's actually God that orders our steps. And my suggestion to people out there, get in the Word of God, have a relationship, a prayer relationship with God, and live a life that is pleasing to him, always putting him first. And he's the one that opens doors and closes others. I never would have thought of this had I not seen that lady doing it, had that experience on my own. And I heard a little voice say, you can do this. And it was like a no-brainer. I said, yes, I can. And I wasn't really understanding that I was going to have to scrape it together for all these years. My family, we lived in a really tiny place, 700 square feet, for 5 years. And it was okay, because we're still, even though you're living in tight quarters and it's all new and it's difficult, and my husband struggled to find out what he was going to do next, it's your faith that carries you through. And you have to have faith in something. And I just didn't have the confidence in myself alone. I'd never been a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, but I had a love for people, a love for children, and a likable personality. So that really carried me through, and is carrying me through. I have scriptures on all my bottles. Our God is an ever-present help in time of need. But when you are going through something, you just have to put your hands up and open up your hands and say, Lord, I'm here, whatever you want to do with my life, because it's his life anyway. It's his purpose, his plan, and I'm just a partaker in it. So, it's been a journey. It's been a real journey. And now like I said, I have 6 locations. I have about 30 ladies working for me. My husband works with me. 2 of my daughters work with me. And I'm doing, trying to get the word out for people that are discouraged, to, find your faith in the Lord, and just, be encouraged daily. It doesn't happen overnight, but you
So
got to,
Amy,
yeah, go ahead.
what,
You show up.
how did you get the name My Hair Helpers and the logo? For me, when I look at the logo, it's hand in hand that we all stand. It's God's work of holding hands and coming together as a community. And like you said, you didn't have the funding for the logo and the name and all of that. But people came together, the community came together and helped you and said, look at Amy, I can do this for you, and I can do the website, and I can do the logo. How did you come about the name of the brand and the logo itself?
Right. So I wanted a name that didn't have the word lice in it. I had originally looked for a name that was available. You have to search online, and the hair helpers was taken. So I chose my hair helpers. So I have all my products start with a my lice removal oil, my lice eliminator comb, my lice enzymes. Everything is my personal. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of cute. And like I said, I'm trying to destigmatize this. People get lice. I need to tell you this and the listeners that I have been to the scariest places in LA. Okay. I had a company hire me and send me out, and I was in the worst areas in LA, and I would knock on doors and they told me a child had a problem with head lice and we're sending you to help. Well, these people didn't speak much English and I spoke a little Spanish. So I was trying to explain to them that, I was there to help them. And then maybe the next day I would be in Calabasas at the biggest reality star's home, removing head lice out of their kids. So what I'm saying to you is that it happens. It happens to everybody. And so I'm trying to make it normal to get this. It's a childhood issue, but moms get it, grandmas get it, babies get it from their grandkids and from their siblings. So it doesn't need to be a secret. It's not fun. And certainly when I had it, all the neighbors found out because my kids were telling them, and it was downright embarrassing. I mean, they were all
the kids are the truth speakers. I tell everybody, if you want the truth, listen to a kid.
No, my daughter, we were in a private Christian school, and she said, Mommy, during the prayer time, I closed my eyes. I said, God, please get rid of the head lice. And she said they marched us all out to the pavement and they were checking all of our hair after that. I said, oh my gosh, something? I'm glad it happened like that because it was so traumatic and embarrassing that I get it. I get it when people tell me, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But, the first thing I tell them is, this is very common. It's not in your house. Let's focus on the hair and let's get some good products in there and do some comb outs and get rid of everything. So for me, it's a simple fix. And I try to tell my customers that it's not the end of the world. It's a bug. Yes, it's living in your hair. It is shocking, but we can help you.
Well, then I think it's a bonding time too, right? Comb your hair. Like, I remember my grandma used to comb her hair all the time, even without the lice. Like, she would just comb her hair. We need to bring that back. We just need to start combing hairs.
Well, in other countries, they do that. In the Philippines, you'll see people combing the kids' hair on the front porch with a lice comb. I think it's our society so busy that nobody wants to take the time to do that. That's more of the problem, is that it's a time issue. Once a week, take a peek. Okay, well, they do it for a week or so, then they don't have time, and then the lice comes back. And usually the lice comes back from another person, okay? I don't want you to think, the listeners to think it's coming back from your environment. It's not.
And I'm really glad that you're putting that information out there for my listeners because, we have so much misinformation going out in today's society around the globe, not just in the United States and Canada, around the globe. And this is why I like to have these heart-to-heart conversations with guests like you, Amy, is because we get the real information out there. People that are on the fields and people that are doing the work. You're on the fields and you're combing those hairs and you're getting those bugs, so you can speak on the bug. What is one thing you learned about the lice bug that has surprised you?
Ooh, okay. Well, there's a lot of things. First of all, they have to have a mate, a male and female, okay, to impregnate the female bug and lay eggs. That term, he's a louse, that came from the male bug will leave the hair first, looking for female to mate with. So that's why they say he's a louse. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah, that did, and
Okay.
that's a surprising fact that the male left first.
First, go looking for anybody to mate with out there, right? Um, and what else I learned is that head lice can live only 30 days on your hair, and then they die. But they can recreate, if it's an impregnated female, it can lay a lot of eggs in that time. What I also learned is that certain things do nothing for lice. Water, chemicals. There's even a lot of prescriptions out there that don't do anything for lice. So that was surprising. Some people use mayonnaise and I say, I'll never look at a sandwich the same.
Me neither.
I love it. Why would I want to put that on my hair?
My dad was like that. My dad was the old wise man. When I got poison oak, he's like, put mayonnaise. I was like, I don't want to make a salad on my body. Like, what is all of this? And he's dry mustard on your feet when you got a cold, and onion. And I was like, okay, like
garlic stock.
right? It's like, wow, we're not making salads here. We want to heal these kids. We want to heal the bug, right? So, Amy, I want to get into your tea, and the tea that you gave me was talent, expertise, and alignment. Why those 3 words for your tea?
So everybody's been given a God-given talent. I don't care how small it is. There's, even tests you can take out there to discover your talents, whether it's like me, good with people. You might be compassionate. You might be good at math, which I'm not. Everybody's given a talent. Okay. Everybody. So find out what your strong suits are. Is it organization? And build around that talent. Okay. One thing I always say to my kids is people out there aren't any smarter than you. Some are, but most people aren't that much smarter than you. But what they did different is they didn't give up. Right. I said, you can't give up. Once you decide something, become the very best at it. Just one thing. Okay. Become the very best at it. One lady that works for me, she's very good at inventory. She has 2 jobs. She works with me and she works at Walmart counting all the inventory, and she's extremely good at it. That would be something that would drive me out of my mind. I'm a free spirit, so looking at bottles all day or things that would not be my thing. But you can find one thing that you're good at, and you have to perfect it, and it's a God-given talent, and you have to stick with it.
And your second word was expertise. Why that word?
Well, that goes along with what I'm talking about, become an expert. I became an expert at bugs, head lice. And so there aren't too many. There aren't too many experts at this. And the research is all over the map. You can find other things to become an expert at and build around that. Like I said, if you're young, you're starting a business, or you don't even have to be young, and you're looking for something to do with your life, there's a lot of ways you can have that work in your favor. I have friends that are tutors. They're very, very good. So they get paid great money. People will find you.
And the word alignment.
So alignment means that your God-given purpose must align with what you're doing in your life. You have to get a vision, and you have to have that purpose from God to be able to stick to what you're doing. Okay. Aligning with God's purpose is always important. Before I do anything in the morning, I give God the day and I say, Lord, take this day. You made it. Take it. Show me what to do. Put me where you want me. Put the people that you want me with. Open doors, close others. That's what alignment is for me.
And we have a question here. 3 words clients should feel after working with you.
Comforted, clean, and set free.
Ooh, I like that. And legacy in 1 sentence for you, Amy.
Making a mark, making your mark on this world, leaving a mark. What did I do to make this world better? Did I help one little girl who had no friends and suffered with lice for years and years and years? Did I change someone's life for the better? That is a legacy.
And Amy, your products are budget friendly and kid friendly. Why was that important for you?
Well, I don't know that they're budget friendly, but they are. But they're certainly not more expensive or less expensive. I'm right in the middle. You can find them on Amazon. And I like Amazon because, you know, when you're thinking about bugs in your hair and you want Amazon Prime, you don't want to sit there and wait a week for something to show up at your doorstep, right? So they're very kid friendly. I use them on babies and pregnant ladies, and that's always the way it will be with me.
And you go into schools and camps and all of that as well, right?
I go into schools. I do hair checks on all the children if they want me to. I have camps going all summer long. We go into camps. I have a team. I have 6 locations, all in Southern California. And we go into homes as well. And I ship product across the United States.
And if your younger self shadowed you for a day, what would surprise you most?
Probably my resilience to be able to take a situation with a woman with 5 children and no income, no money, no nothing, and turn it around.
And was there a time that you felt like quitting and giving up? And what sentence or scripture or affirmation got you to keep on the journey?
Self-talk. A few times, you know, I had customers and I left things in their hair, bugs in their hair after they paid me, and they'd call me and say, you know, is this normal that I'm still finding bugs? And I would just feel so bad. I just like get on the floor and I'd cry. I'd say, God, help me. You made this bug. Can you please show me what I'm doing wrong? What do I need to do here? Because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody to train me. And so I had a lot of self-talk and had to encourage myself. You know, things don't happen overnight for people that are successful. People that are really successful, it's, you know, it's been 17 years in progress. And so you can't give up. You have to just have your faith and your trust that God is going to complete what he started.
And Amy, why do you think there's not enough specialists on the lice out there?
There's not. You know something, I think it's a profession that isn't for everybody. You know, who wants to be known as the lice lady? You know, that's, I go out in public, people see me, oh, that's the lice lady. I mean, people just don't think it's very glamorous or very fun. You have to have a heart, and I have a heart.
Right. You have to have the heart, the passion, and the purpose behind it.
That's right.
One word that describes your mission, Amy.
One word would be to set people free, to set free the captives, set free.
Set free. I like it.
Yeah.
And what's always in your red picnic basket now?
I've retired my picnic basket.
It's retired. It's done.
Ever get rid of this basket. This is my $1 million basket. It's my legacy. Don't you ever get rid of it. But yeah, I have other carry-on bags for the ladies now, but that's my basket.
I like that basket retired. It started off and then it was time, like it's like, Little Red Riding Hood, the basket had to be put away.
Yes, yes, but I cherish it. It's out there on the, in the garage. I look at it all the time.
Well, it's a memory, right, of how we got started, when it brings the grounding back. Uh,
It's
your
why,
favorite script,
yeah,
absolutely. Amy, your favorite scripture or quote that grounds you on your harder days?
I love that. Um, there's a couple. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And God works all things together for the good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. It doesn't mean everything that happens to you is good, but he promises he'll work it for your good. And when I was going through that with my children, and I was going to the food bank to feed them, I was always the donor to the food bank. And now I found myself the recipient. And you just have to trust the process and trust your maker, that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And he totally reinvented my whole family, reinvented my husband. I'm living in a beautiful area now that's much safer, and I'm able to provide jobs for multiple ladies and help with children that have no hope with this issue. It just was bigger than I could ever imagine.
Well, that's true. God gives his hardest battles to his biggest warriors out there. I'm a strong believer on that. And the people that are making changes in the world do not have an easy journey. It's step by step. And sometimes you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, why God, like, where's this going? Like, what do we need to do? But have that talk with your God in the morning. And I like that you do that in the morning, Amy, because that's the best time to talk to him. You just wake up, it's a fresh new day, it's a fresh new start. What song from the gospel is the song that gets you motivated, that keeps you pushing?
There's a song by Susie Winan that I like, and my husband plays it every morning. I can't think of the name of it, but great is thy faithfulness. God is faithful, and that's the truth. And I had a friend of mine, she's so lovely. Her name is Ruth Schleppy, and she helps Johnny Tata Erickson. She just wrote a devotion book for Johnny. And Ruth looked at my situation. She just was getting to know me, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you're so blessed. You get to see God really move in your life because you have nothing. Your back's against the wall." And I said, "Oh, that's like really interesting that's how you look at it." And that kind of carried me through because, my back was against the wall, and he did carry me through. And she said, that's such a blessing to be able to have that. So it's really your perspective. And especially as a believer and somebody who lives their life for Jesus, whatever comes your way, he's got a purpose in it. I just hadn't been through something like this before. It really threw me off guard, but look at the fruit. Look what's happening out of it. It's a company that's able to help so many people, and what a blessing. What a blessing. And I never shook my fist at God and said, "What are you doing?" I was like, what's going on here? Everything I had 20 years of marriage at the time fit in one closet. I couldn't bring anything with me. My whole world was turned upside down. We couldn't even afford an apartment. We had to get a co-signer. I mean, it was just such a crazy time. And, I just didn't ever know the future. So I just kept going. I kept trusting. I kept going.
So, Amy, looking back now, what message do you hope your journey sends to the next generation of the faith-driven female founders in your life?
Serve God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole soul. Serve him with everything you've got. and he will show you your purpose for this life, because everybody has a purpose and he has a plan for your life. And that's the best message, is knowing that he's faithful.
And Amy, what's the best advice you can give to a mom starting a business?
Find something that is not going to require a lot of money and a lot of capital. Build it as it goes. Find one thing, whether it's, I heard the best thing the other day, and it was somebody started a little babysitting service for people at weddings. You know how there's always kids running all over? They come in and they set up a little daycare with, toys and crafts, and they collect all the children and they watch them for the whole wedding. And I thought, oh my gosh, they said she, charges $1,000 a day and she's all booked out. That doesn't require anything except yourself, maybe a couple other people, and some toys. Something simple. Keep it simple. Come up with
I would have never thought of that, like a wedding caregiver.
Yeah, just set up, I used to take kids in when we were going through this. I used to take a kid or two in and feed them dinner and help them do their homework while their parents worked. I had my own little setup at my house. It was my kids' friends, but I made it work. I just made it work. You got to find little ways. There's always parents out there. They don't want to send their kid to daycare. They'll send them home with you and you can nurture them. So there's always something that
Absolutely.
There's always something.
So we have a question here. A must-have family tradition that keeps you centered.
Prayer over every meal and devotion. Prayer and devotion with my children over every meal when we're together.
And best advice you actually took from someone.
Don't take partners.
Oh, you know what? I actually like that one.
Yeah. My husband.
It takes you off track sometimes.
He's my partner. And many people came and they tried to, buy in or get in somehow. And he'd look at me and say, I don't need partners. I've done that. You're the only partner. We need each other. And that's that. The minute you take a partner, it's 50% of whatever you earn goes to them. So you're better off just starting small.
Right? And I want to wrap it up with our final message from you, Amy. But before we get to that, I want to get into your color, because I asked you your favorite color and you said green, and I noticed you're wearing green and I'm wearing green. So what is it about the green?
Oh, green just represents life and growth. I mean, we never stop growing until we're, leave this earth, where every day brings an opportunity to grow. And I'm always growing and evolving into what God wants me to be. So that's why green.
And your word that you gave me was inspirational. And we can hear the inspiration in your story and your journey and that as well. But for you to give yourself that word, what does that mean to you, Amy?
Well, I asked some of my friends, how would you describe me? And my daughter said charismatic. I'm like, okay, I can be. I have my moments. And I thought, you know what? I think my story is probably inspirational. And everybody I talk to, and they come to my salon and they look around, they say, oh my gosh, you've created this business that's so inspirational. That's what I always hear.
And Amy, your final words for the listeners today.
Find Jesus. Open your Bible, find him. He loves you. He died on the cross for you. He has a purpose and a plan for you. And as the world goes the way of the world, we have to keep our eyes on our Lord. He has a purpose and plan for your life.
Well, thank you so much. And Amy, I'm just going to do a closing summary of today's tea time, and we're going to wrap it up. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As our cups empty and hearts fill, we're reminded through Amy's journey that true success isn't measured by numbers. It's measured by the impact we leave behind. From the red picnic basket to a brand that now helps families across the nation, Amy Chinchilla shows us that resilience, faith, and service can turn even life's messiest moments into miracles. Her message lingers long after the show. When you lead with compassion, the world listens and lives change. May this afternoon's tea time inspire you to take what you have, no matter how small, and plant it with faith. Because as Amy proves, even a picnic basket can grow into a legacy that changes lives forever. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for all the listeners that joined us today on the platforms. And I'll see you guys back at 7 p.m. with the second tea time, and we'll do this all over again.
Thank you so much for listening.